Have you ever known something terrible was coming, but nobody believed you? The rope burns on Aria's wrists are still fresh when Elder Thomas throws open the door to the isolation cabin. You will stay here until you learn to keep your mouth shut, he says. Aria doesn't look at him. She keeps her eyes on the horizon through the small window. Dark clouds are gathering in the west, moving fast, too fast. There's a storm coming, she says. Her voice is calm, but her heart is pounding. A bad one. 3 days, maybe less. The rope burns on Aria's wrists are still fresh when Elder Thomas throws open the door to the isolation cabin. You will stay here until you learn to keep your mouth shut, he says. Aria doesn't look at him. She keeps her eyes on the horizon through the small window. Dark clouds are gathering in the west, moving fast, too fast. There's a storm coming, she says. Her voice is calm, but her heart is pounding. A bad one. 3 days, maybe less. Elder Thomas slams his fist on the doorframe. The whole cabin shakes. Enough! His face is red. Veins bulge in his neck. You've terrorized this settlement for the last time, girl. No more of your devil talk about winds and clouds. Aria turns to face him now. Her brown eyes are steady. It's not devil talk. It's the truth. The wind changed direction this morning. The clouds are stacking in layers. The birds left yesterday. All the signs are there. If you're listening and you believe some people just know things others can't see, hit that like button right now. And drop a comment telling me if you'd trust someone like Aria or send her away. Elder Thomas steps closer. His boots are heavy on the wooden floor. Your mother filled your head with nonsense before she ran off, he says. And now you're doing the same thing to our people, causing fear, making folks abandon their homes over shadows and feelings. My mother didn't run off, Aria says quietly. She died trying to warn people just like you. The elder's jaw tightens. He doesn't like being reminded. Your mother was a fool, and you're following right in her footsteps. He points at her. You stay in this cabin. You don't come out. You don't talk to anyone. Maybe a week alone will teach you some sense. He walks out and locks the door behind him. Aria listens to his footsteps fade away. Then she moves to the window again. The clouds are closer now. She can see the way they twist, the way they pulse. She learned to read them when she was just a child. Her mother taught her. Watch the sky, Aria. Her mother used to say, it talks to those who listen. And Aria has been listening ever since. She remembers the last storm her mother predicted. Aria was only 12. Her mother stood in the town square and begged people to leave. To take shelter in the caves 3 miles north. Nobody listened. The elders called her crazy, called her a witch, said she was trying to destroy the settlement with her lies. Her mother went to the caves alone. The storm hit that night. It tore through the settlement like a hungry beast. 7 people died. Dozens were injured. Homes were destroyed. And her mother, she died in the caves. A flash flood swept through and carried her away. Aria found her body 2 days later, caught in the rocks downstream. She's never forgotten the way her mother looked. Peaceful, like she knew it was coming. Now Aria touches the window glass. It's already cooler than it should be. The temperature is dropping. She has 3 days, maybe less. 3 days to convince someone, anyone. But who will listen to a 17-year-old girl locked in a cabin? That night, Aria doesn't sleep. She watches the sky through the window. The moon disappears behind thick clouds. The wind picks up. It whistles through the cracks in the cabin walls. She can hear it speaking. It tells her the storm is getting stronger, building power, gathering rage. By morning, the first signs appear. The air feels thick, heavy, like trying to breathe through wet cloth. Aria presses her face against the window. She can see the settlement from here. People are going about their normal day. Women hanging laundry, men working in the fields, children playing in the dirt streets. They have no idea what's coming. Around noon, she hears footsteps outside. Someone is approaching the cabin. The lock clicks. The door opens. It's Sarah, Aria's only friend in the settlement. She's carrying a basket covered with a cloth. I brought you food, Sarah says. She glances behind her nervously. I'm not supposed to be here. Aria grabs Sarah's arm. You need to leave, Aria says. Get your family and go to the caves. Sarah pulls her arm away. She looks scared. Aria, stop. You're making it worse for yourself. I'm serious, Sarah. The storm is coming. You've known me your whole life. Have I ever lied to you? Sarah hesitates. Her eyes search Aria's face. The elders say you're just trying to scare people, Sarah whispers. They say you want attention because your mother left you. My mother didn't leave me. She died warning people just like I'm warning you now. Aria's voice breaks. Please, Sarah. I can't lose you too. Sarah sets the basket down on the small table. Her hands are shaking. I want to believe you, she says. But if I tell my family to leave, they'll think I'm crazy too. My father will. A gust of wind slams against the cabin. Both girls jump. Sarah looks at the window. The curtain is flapping wildly even though the window is closed. How long? Sarah asks quietly. 2 days, maybe less. Sarah nods slowly. She backs toward the door. I'll think about it. Then she's gone. Aria sinks to the floor. Her hands cover her face. She's failing, just like her mother failed. That afternoon, the temperature drops 10 degrees in 1 hour. Aria can feel it in her bones. She watches people in the settlement start to notice. They pull on jackets. They look up at the sky with confused expressions. But the elders must be telling them it's normal, because nobody leaves. By evening, the wind is howling. It sounds angry, desperate. Aria stands at the window and whispers to it. I tried, she says. I'm sorry I couldn't make them listen. The wind seems to answer. It rattles the cabin so hard that dust falls from the ceiling. And then Aria sees something that makes her blood run cold. In the distance, past the settlement, past the fields, a wall of darkness is forming on the horizon. It's not night. Night is still hours away. This is something else. The storm has arrived early. Aria pounds on the door. Let me out, she screams. The storm is here. Nobody comes. She keeps pounding. Her fists hurt. Her voice goes hoarse. Still nobody comes. The darkness grows closer. She can see it moving now. A massive wall of black clouds rolling toward the settlement like an avalanche. Inside that darkness, she sees flashes, lightning, twisting wind, something worse than anything she's ever predicted. Aria stops pounding. Her hands drop to her sides. She stares at the approaching storm and realizes with horrible certainty that this isn't just any storm. This is the storm her mother predicted all those years ago, the one that never really left. It's been waiting, growing, getting ready to finish what it started. And now it's coming for everyone who refused to listen. The first drops of rain hit the window like bullets. Aria closes her eyes. I'm sorry, Mama, she whispers. Then the wind tears the door off its hinges. The wind throws Aria across the cabin like she weighs nothing. She slams into the wall and crumples to the floor. Pain shoots through her shoulder. She can't breathe for a moment. The door is gone, completely ripped away. Rain pours through the opening. The wind screams inside, tearing at everything. Aria crawls toward the doorway. Her hands slip on the wet floor. She can barely see through the water streaming down her face. Outside, chaos has erupted. People are running, screaming. The wind is so strong it knocks them down. Roofs are peeling off buildings like paper. A wagon flips over and crashes into a fence. Aria pulls herself up using the door frame. She has to lean into the wind just to stand. Get to the cave, she screams, but her voice disappears into the storm. A woman runs past, clutching a small child. The child's face is buried in her shoulder. The woman's eyes are wide with terror. Aria grabs her arm. The caves, 3 miles north. Go now. The woman stares at Aria like she's never seen her before. Then she nods and runs. Aria staggers into the street. The rain feels like needles on her skin. Lightning splits the sky. For one bright moment, everything is lit up like daylight. That's when Aria sees it, a funnel cloud, dropping from the black mass above. It's still far away, but it's coming straight toward the settlement. Her mother's voice echoes in her memory. When you see the funnel, you have minutes, not hours. Aria runs toward the center of town. Her feet slip in the mud. She falls, gets up, keeps running. Elder Thomas is in the street, trying to help a man whose leg is trapped under a fallen beam. He looks up and sees Aria. You, he shouts. His voice is barely audible over the wind. You brought this curse on us. Aria ignores him. She cups her hands around her mouth. Everyone needs to leave. Head north to the caves. This settlement is going to be destroyed. We're not abandoning our homes because of your lies, Elder Thomas yells back. The funnel cloud touches down in the distance. The sound is like a freight train. The ground shakes. Aria points at it. Look, you want more proof? That's coming right for us. We have maybe 10 minutes. Elder Thomas looks. His face goes white. The funnel is massive, wider than any Aria has ever seen. It's tearing up everything in its path. Trees, rocks, the earth itself. Dear God, Elder Thomas whispers. If you're glued to this story right now, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And comment below if you think the elder will finally listen or if his pride will doom them all. The elder turns and starts shouting orders. Everyone to the caves. Leave everything. Just run. People start moving. Some are crying. Some are dragging children. Some are trying to grab belongings. No, Aria screams. Leave it all. There's no time. Sarah appears out of the crowd. Her face is streaked with tears and mud. Aria, my father won't leave. He says the house is too valuable. He's trying to board up the window. Aria's heart drops. Take me to him. Sarah grabs her hand and they run. The wind nearly knocks them over with every step. Debris flies through the air. A piece of metal roofing spins past Aria's head, missing her by inches. They reach Sarah's house. Her father is on the porch, hammering boards over a window. His wife is beside him, holding more boards. Coleman, Area shouts. You have to leave. He doesn't look at her, just keeps hammering. I built this house with my own hands, he yells. I'm not letting some wind take it. The wind will take you too if you stay. Area climbs onto the porch. She pulls at his arm. Please, think of Sarah. Think of your wife. Mrs. Coleman looks at Area, then at the approaching funnel. It's closer now. So close Area can see individual pieces of debris spinning inside it. John, Mrs. Coleman says quietly. She's right. We need to go. No. Mr. Coleman pushes Area away. Get off my property. This is your fault. Your evil predictions brought this storm. The house shudders. The boards he just nailed up rip off and fly away. Sarah is sobbing now. Daddy, please. Area makes a decision. She grabs Sarah and pulls her off the porch. We're leaving. With or without them. I can't leave them, Sarah screams. You'll die if you stay. Area holds her friend's face in both hands. Sarah, listen to me. Your parents are making their choice, but you still have a choice too. Sarah looks back at her parents. Her father is still hammering. Her mother is frozen, staring at the storm. Mama, Sarah cries. Mrs. Coleman turns. For a moment she just looks at her daughter. Then she drops the boards and runs down the porch steps. She wraps her arms around Sarah. Go, she says. Run to the cave. Don't look back. What about you? Sarah sobs. I'll get your father. We'll be right behind you. Area knows it's a lie. She can see it in Mrs. Coleman's eyes, but there's no time to argue. Come on, Sarah. Area pulls her friend away. They run north. Other people are running too. A river of terrified settlers all heading for the caves. Behind them, the funnel cloud hits the settlement. The sound is unbelievable, like the world is being torn apart. Area risks a look back. Buildings are exploding, not collapsing, exploding. Pieces of them shoot into the air and disappear into the black funnel. The church steeple spins like a top before it's ripped away. Sarah's house is still standing, for now. Don't look, Area says. Just run. They run until their lungs burn, until their legs feel like they'll give out. Other settlers pass them. Some fall and are helped up by others. Everyone is united now. Fear has erased all the arguments, all the doubt. The caves come into view. Dark openings in a rocky hillside. People are pouring inside. Area and Sarah reach entrance. Hands pull them in. The cave is crowded, wet, cold, but safe. Area collapses against the cave wall. She's shaking, not from cold, from everything. Sarah sits beside her, staring at nothing. My father, Sarah whispers. My mother. Area doesn't know what to say, so she just holds her friend's hand. Around them, people are counting heads, checking for missing family members. Some are injured. Blood mixes with mud on their faces. Elder Thomas is there. He's bleeding from a cut on his forehead. He's helping a woman with a broken arm. He sees Area watching him. For a long moment, they just stare at each other. Then he looks away. The storm rages outside. They can hear it even deep in the cave. It sounds like it's trying to dig them out, trying to finish them all. Hours pass. The sound doesn't stop. It just keeps going and going. Children cry. Adults pray. Some people sleep from pure exhaustion. Area stays awake. She watches the cave entrance, waiting for the storm to pass, waiting to see if anyone else makes it, hoping that Sarah's parents somehow survived. As night falls, the storm finally begins to weaken. The sound drops from a scream to a moan, then to a whisper, then silence. Nobody moves at first. They're afraid it's a trick. Finally, Elder Thomas stands. I'll check, he says. He walks toward the entrance slowly. Others follow. Area and Sarah join them. They step outside into the aftermath. The moon is out now. The sky is clear. Stars are shining. And the settlement is gone. Completely gone. Where buildings once stood, there's nothing but bare ground, scattered debris, a few foundation stones. Everything else has been swept away. People stand in silence. Some fall to their knees. Some just stare. Sarah makes a sound, a choked cry. She starts running toward where her house used to be. Sarah, wait. Area chases after her, but Sarah doesn't stop. She runs to the empty space where her home once stood, where her parents refused to leave. There's nothing there, just mud and a few broken boards. Sarah falls to the ground and screams. The sound echoes across the empty plain. Area drops beside her and holds her while she cries. Other people are searching too, looking for anything, anyone. A man finds his wife's locket in the mud. He clutches it and weeps. A woman finds a child's shoe, just one. She calls her son's name over and over, but there are no answers, only silence. Elder Thomas walks through the destruction. His face looks like it's aged 10 years. He stops in front of Area. How many, he asks. His voice is rough. How many did we lose? Area looks around. She tries to count the faces she doesn't see. At least 20, she says quietly. Maybe more. The elder closes his eyes, his hands clench into fists. This is my fault, he says. You warned us. Your mother warned us. And his voice breaks. We called you liars. We called you crazy. Area stands. She's still holding Sarah, who has gone quiet. Too quiet. It wasn't just you, Area says. Everyone chose not to listen. Everyone chose to believe what was comfortable instead of what was true. But I was the leader, Elder Thomas says. I should have listened. I should have. He looks at Area with red eyes. Can you forgive me? Area thinks about her mother, about all the years she was alone, about dying in a cave, knowing she was right but nobody believed her. I don't know, Arya says honestly. Not yet. The elder nods, like he expected that answer. More people gather around them now. Everyone who survived. They look lost, broken. What do we do now? Someone asks. Everyone turns to Elder Thomas, but he just shakes his head. Then, slow, they turn to Area. She feels their eyes on her, all of them, waiting, hoping, desperate for someone to tell them what comes next. Area looks at the sky, at the stars her mother taught her to read, and she sees something that makes her blood run cold. The clouds are forming again, in a pattern she's seen before. This storm wasn't the end. It was just the beginning. We need to leave, Area says quietly. Right now. Leave. Elder Thomas frowns. But the storm just passed. We need to rebuild, to search for survivors. Area shakes her head. There's another storm coming. A bigger one. This was just the first wave. People gasp. Some cry out in disbelief. That's impossible, someone says. Area points at the sky. Look at the clouds. See how they're circling. See the way the wind is shifting. Another storm is building. It'll hit in 2 days. How do you know? A woman demands. Area meets her eyes. Because my mother taught me to read the sky before she died, and the sky doesn't lie. Silence falls over the group, then Elder Thomas speaks. Where do we go? East, Area says. There's a town about 50 miles from here, Riverbend. It's in a valley, protected by hills. The storms won't hit it as hard. 50 miles, someone protests, some of us are injured. We have children, then we carry them, Area says firmly. We have 2 days. If we leave at first light and move fast, we can make it. The people look at each other. But this time, nobody argues. This time, they believe her. As the group returns to the caves to rest before the journey, Area stays outside. She looks up at the stars. I'm not going to fail them, Mama, she whispers. Not like you failed before. I'm going to save them all. But deep down, she wonders if that's even possible, because the pattern in the sky tells her something else, something she hasn't told anyone yet. These storms aren't natural. They're following the settlements, hunting them, and Area doesn't know why or how to stop them. The sun rises on a broken landscape. Area stands at the front of the group. 43 people. That's all that's left from a settlement of over 60. Some are injured. Bandages made from torn clothing cover cuts and burns. A man named Jacob has a broken arm tied to his chest with rope. Mrs. Henderson limps on a twisted ankle. Children cling to their parents. Their eyes are hollow. They've seen too much. Sarah hasn't spoken since last night. She walks beside Area like a ghost. Her eyes stare straight ahead at nothing. Elder Thomas moves down the line, checking on people, making sure everyone has water. Something to carry. They salvage what they could from the ruins. Some blankets, a few bags of grain, canteens, tools, not much. Area takes one last look at where the settlement used to be. Then she turns east and starts walking. The group follows. Nobody talks much. The only sounds are footsteps, breathing, the occasional cough or cry from a child. The land stretches out flat in all directions. Brown grass, scattered rocks, no shelter anywhere. Area keeps checking the sky. The clouds are building, slowly. But they have time, but not much. By midday, people are struggling. The heat beats down. Water is running low. A woman collapses. Her husband catches her before she hits the ground. We need to rest, Elder Thomas says, coming up beside Area. We can't, Area says. We need to cover at least 25 miles today. If we stop now, we won't make it. People are exhausted. They need a break. Area looks at the woman being helped to her feet. She's sweating, but she's nodding, saying she can keep going. 15 minutes, Area says. That's all. Elder Thomas nods and passes the word. People drop where they stand. Some lie flat on the ground. Others sit and massage their feet. Area doesn't sit. She climbs a small rise and looks back the way they came. The horizon is dark, storm clouds gathering. It's moving faster than she expects. Sarah appears beside her. She's the first time she's moved on her own all day. Is it following us? Sarah asks. Her voice sounds strange. Area hesitates, then decides Sarah deserves the truth. Yes. How is that possible? Storms don't follow people. I don't know, but these ones do. Area points at the approaching darkness. See how it's moving? It's not drifting with the wind, it's tracking us. Sarah's quiet for a moment, then she says something that surprises Area. Your mother knew, didn't she? That's why she kept warning people, not just about one storm, about all of them. Area nods slowly. She told me once that the storms were angry, that they were looking for something, but she died before she could explain what she meant. What are they looking for? Arya turns to face her friend. I think they're looking for me. Sarah's eyes widen. Why would storms be looking for you? Because I can read them. Because I can warn people. Maybe, Arya takes a breath. Maybe they don't want people to escape. Before Sarah can respond, someone shouts from below, Arya, you need to see this. They run down the rise. A man named Thomas Jr. the Elder's son is standing over something in the dirt. Other people have gathered around. Arya pushes through the crowd. On the ground is a mark, burned into the earth. It's a spiral pattern, like a fingerprint, but huge, at least 10 feet across. And it's still smoking. What is it? Someone whispers. Arya kneels beside it. She's seen this pattern before, in her mother's journal. The one she kept hidden under the floorboards of their old house. The journal that burned in the first storm. But Arya remembers the drawing, page after page of spirals. And notes in her mother's handwriting. They mark their path, they mark their prey. Arya stands quickly. We need to go now. But we haven't rested 15 minutes yet, someone complains. Arya's voice is sharp, commanding. That mark means the storm is closer than I thought. If we don't move, it'll catch us before nightfall. People scramble to their feet. Fear gives them new energy. They start walking again, faster this time. Arya keeps looking back. The darkness is definitely closer. She can see lightning flickering inside it, can hear distant thunder. Hours pass. The sun crosses the sky. Shadows grow long. People are past exhausted now. They're running on pure terror. A child starts crying. She can't walk anymore. Her father picks her up even though he's already carrying a pack. An old woman falls. 2 younger men help her up and support her between them. The group is slowing down, spreading out. Some people are falling behind. We need to stay together, Arya shouts. Nobody gets left behind. Elder Thomas is at the back now, urging stragglers forward. His face is red from exertion, but he keeps moving. Keeps encouraging. The storm is so close now that wind is starting to push at their backs. The temperature is dropping. Arya can see another spiral mark ahead. Then another. They're everywhere, creating a path leading east. The same direction they're going. It's hurting us, Arya says out loud. What? Sarah's breathing hard beside her. The storm, it's not just following us, it's pushing us somewhere. Look at the marks. They're showing us where to go. But we chose to go east. You chose it. Arya stops walking. The realization hits her like a punch. No, she whispers. I didn't choose it. The sky told me. The pattern in the clouds, I thought I was reading the weather. But what if? She looks at Sarah with horror. What if it was reading me? What if it's been in my head this whole time? Underboom. So loud it shakes the ground. People scream and start running. Arya shouts. Don't run. We need to think about this. But panic has taken over. People scatter in different directions. Parents grab children. Friends hold on to each other. The wind picks up. It knocks people down. Arya sees a man get lifted off his feet and thrown 10 yards. He lands hard and doesn't get up. Sarah grabs Arya's arm. What do we do? Arya's mind is racing. If the storm wants them to go east, they should go west. Or north, south. Anywhere but where it's pushing them. But what's to the west? More open plain. No shelter. No protection. North, the same. South leads back toward the ruined settlement. Toward the caves. The caves. The caves. Arya shouts over the wind. We need to go back to the caves. Are you crazy? Sarah yells. The storm will trap us there. No, don't you see? The storm doesn't want us in the caves. It wants us in the open. It wants us to keep going east. So we do the opposite. Arya turns and starts running back the way they came. Against the wind now. It's like running through water. Everyone follow me, she screams. Back to the caves. It's our only chance. Elder Thomas hears her. He starts herding people back, shouting orders. You heard her. Turn around. Back to the caves. Some people listen. They turn and fight against the wind. Others keep running east, too scared to stop, too panicked to think. Arya watches them disappear into the growing darkness. She catches 7 people. We have to go after them, Sarah says. We can't save everyone. Arya grabs her. We save what we can, now run. They run west, back toward the ruins. The wind is so strong now that they have to lean into it at an angle just to move forward. Lightning strikes close. The crack is deafening. Arya's ears ring. Rain starts. Heavy drops that sting like rocks. The cave is miles away. They'll never make it. Arya looks around desperately. They need shelter. Then she sees it. A depression in the ground. Not deep, but maybe enough. There, she points. Everyone get down in that dip. Cover your heads. People scramble into the shallow depression. They huddle together. Adults cover children with their bodies. Arya and Sarah are the last ones down. They press themselves against the ground. The storm hits like a hammer. Wind tears at them. Rain blinds them. Lightning turns the world white. Arya can't breathe. Can't think. Can't do anything but hold on to the earth and pray. Something flies over her head. A piece of wood or metal. She can't tell. It misses her by inches. Someone is screaming. She can't tell who. The world is just noise and violence and terror. Then, through all of it, Area hears something else. A voice. Not human. Not wind. Something in between. It's calling her name. She looks up, squinting against the rain. In the storm, she sees a shape. A figure made of wind and cloud and lightning. It looks like a woman. It looks like her mother. Area, the voice says again. Stop running. Area's heart stops. Mama? The figure moves closer. Its face is her mother's face, but wrong. Made of storm instead of flesh. You can't escape us, the voice says. You're part of us now, just like she was. What are you? Area screams. We are the rage of the earth, the figure says. We are the price of ignorance. We are the storm that has waited 100 years to be heard. The figure reaches out a hand made of lightning. Your mother understood. At the end, she joined us, became us, and now it's your turn. No. Area scrambles backward. I'm not like her. I won't join you. You already have, the voice says. Every time you read the sky, every time you predict the storm, you're speaking our language, becoming our voice. The hand touches Area's forehead. Pain explodes through her skull. Images flood her mind. She sees her mother, standing in a field, looking at the sky. She sees the first storm, the one that took 7 lives. She sees her mother in the cave, but she's not dead. She's dissolving into wind and water. She sees the truth. Her mother didn't die in that storm. She became it. And now it wants Area too. Area tears away from the touch. I won't become you. The figure tilts its head. Then everyone you love will die, it says simply. We will hunt them, storm after storm, until there's nothing left, unless you give yourself to us. Unless you become the bridge between earth and sky, the warning they need, the storm they deserve. Area looks at the people huddled around her. Elder Thomas, the chill, all of them trusting her to save them. She looks at the figure that was her mother, and she makes a choice. If I do this, Area says slowly. If I become what you want, you'll leave them alone, all of them, forever? Yes, the voice says. They will be spared. All settlements will be spared. If you give yourself to the wind, if you become the eternal warning, the voice between worlds. Area closes her eyes. Tears mix with rain on her face. I'll do it, she whispers. No. Sarah grabs her. Area, don't. There has to be another way. Area looks at her friend. She smiles sadly. There isn't. This is what my mother tried to do. This is what she became. And now it's my turn. She stands. The wind doesn't push her anymore. It welcomes her. She walks toward the figure. Area, please. Sarah is crying. Don't leave me. I'm not leaving, Area says softly. I'll always be here in every cloud, every breeze, every warning. She reaches out and takes the figure's hand. The world explodes into light. When the light fades, the storm is gone. The sky is clear. Stars shine bright. Sarah is on her knees, staring at the spot where Area stood. But Area isn't there anymore. Elder Thomas helps Sarah to her feet. Around them, people emerge from the depression. She's confused, but alive. Where did she go? Someone asks. Sarah looks up at the sky, at the single cloud drifting across the stars. She's there, Sarah says quietly. She's everywhere now. The cloud moves, shapes itself. For just a moment, it looks like a girl with long hair, arms spread wide. Then it disperses, becomes wind, becomes sky. But Sarah swears she hears a voice in that wind. I'll keep you safe, all of you, always. 3 days later, the survivors reach River Bend. They tell their story. Some believe them, some don't. But one thing is certain, from that day forward, the storms change. They still come. Nature can't be stopped. But they're different now. They give warnings, shifts in the wind, patterns in the clouds, signs that even children can read. And when storms approach, people hear a voice in the wind, a young woman's voice, telling them where to go, how to be safe. Some say it's just the wind playing tricks, but Sarah knows better. She builds a new settlement, calls it Area's Watch. And every evening she stands outside and looks at the sky. Thank you, she whispers, and the wind whispers back. You're welcome, friend, you're welcome. Years pass. Sarah becomes an elder herself. She teaches her children to read the sky, to listen to the wind. She teaches them about the girl who gave everything to save her people, the girl who became the storm. And on quiet nights when the wind blows soft and the clouds dance, Sarah swears she can still see her. Forever 17, forever watching, forever keeping her promise. The storms still come. They always will. But now people listen. They believe, and they survive. Because somewhere in the wind between earth and sky, a girl named Area is still reading the patterns, still speaking the language of storms, still warning those who will listen, and she always will. The end. If this story moved you, if it made you think about the voices we ignore until it's too late, share it right now. Leave a comment telling me what sacrifice you'd make to save the people you love. And hit that like button if you believe some heroes don't get happy endings, they become something greater. Thank you for listening. Until the next story, keep your eyes on the sky and always, always listen to the wind.